about 1:15 or so, Sunday afternoon. And I've been talking about sorry, I keep looking at my computer screen as well as looking at the camera. Don't want to be rude. Um, we've been talking about the yamas and the niyamas, mostly the yamas, which are the ethical standpoints, foundation of yoga. Um, it's what our practice is based upon, how we live our lives. If you're a yogi, you're not just someone who does physical exercise of yoga, the asanas. You're someone that practices the 8 limbs of yoga. So you're practicing the ethical standpoints, both the personal guidelines that are offered in the yamas, as well as the social interactions that are offered by the niyamas. We're practicing pranayama to enhance our health, increase our energy. Um, we could say to allow us access to our more subtle energy levels, so a more subtle body, perhaps. Um, and we are practicing meditation. Now, yoga culminates in enlightenment, samadhi, absorption, theoretically, because that would be the end path, right? I don't know. It doesn't matter. The practice is a practice. That's how we navigate through life. To me, that's enough. You will, yoga leads to an awakening. I know in some non duality circles that statement would be frowned upon, but it does. It did for me. I know people who say, well, I don't practice yoga and I've had an awakening. In your own way, you were practicing yoga. Yoga is this, doesn't have to be that 8 limb practice. Yoga is everything. Self inquiry, where everything is yoga, maybe is a better way of saying it. So people can debate that. I don't care. Um, I'm not into the debate at all. How things are, how things are, and maybe it's different for you, and that's absolutely fine. Um, anyway, so we've been dealing with the first part, the yamas. That's the very beginning of personal conduct, often viewed as things that we abstain from. But as I've been mentioning, we don't have to think of it that way. It's not that we are abstaining from violence, it's that we are practicing non harmfulness. Big difference. Big, big difference. And the only way to find out how, although I've been explaining it the best that I can, the best that I'm able, is to practice and see. Um, ahimsa, sorry, is the first, and that's non harmfulness. And again, we see how deep that is. That we are navigating through life with the express purpose of causing least harm to ourselves, to others, to animals, to everything that we come in contact with. Our thoughts, our speech, all of it, non harmful, as we are capable of, without strain, without undue effort, without going around every single moment of the day concentrating on, am I causing harm? Am I causing harm? Just be kind and let it deepen, and it will deepen from there. Satya, which is the second yama, truthfulness. It's not just not telling lies, it's being truthful with yourself, with your actions. Am I doing this for a reason that is truthful for me? Or am I living a lie? If I'm in complete misery, something's off. There's some kind of lie, internal lying going on within my system that might need to be addressed. Again, these are just the deeper aspects, and it goes deeper and deeper and deeper. Untold layers, untold levels of depth that I don't know if we'll ever get to, but we just keep exploring. That's the difference. Going from what might be considered a seeker to that subtle energy shift of just someone who is exploring. And that's what we're doing. That's what I'm doing. I'm not here to teach. I'm not teaching yoga. I'm not teaching the yamas or the niyamas. Again, I'm a certified meditation teacher, certified breath coach. I'm working on my yoga teacher certification for the asanas. Less interest in that. I love doing the asanas. I see the purpose and the reason of opening up our bodies in this specific way. And I do like teaching it, but I don't want to be that kind of yoga teacher. It's not what I want to offer. What I want to do is talk about the things we're talking here, not as a teacher, but as someone who is just exploring it and has been exploring it for decades. And just now, I feel like I'm getting past the surface. If you were to ask me 10 years ago, I would say, oh yeah, I'm already past the surface. It's just the deeper you get, the deeper you get. It's a beautiful thing, actually. So yes, ahimsa, satya, asteya. I should mention again, as I mentioned every time I talk, I'm going to say everything wrong. I'm going to say everything incorrectly. Even when I have teachers say, this is how you say it, and then I say it back to them perfectly, the next minute, I'm going to say it wrong. So don't watch any of my videos and say, you pronounced that wrong. You can point that out, but don't say it as if you think that I don't know that I'm not pronouncing it right. I say it the best that my face allows me to say it, the best that my jaw and my tongue and my teeth, the best. So I apologize now. So we talked about the aseya, which is non-stealing, which again doesn't mean just taking someone else's property, taking an object that doesn't belong to you. Just gets deeper and deeper. Are you taking energy from someone? Are you taking someone's well-being from them, their joy, their happiness? Aldo, good morning. Are you taking... If you insult someone, you are not practicing non-stealing. You have stolen something from someone. You've stolen their joy, their self-worth, part of their identity. That's what these yamas mean. And it all ties together. If you steal, you're causing harm and you're not being truthful. So you can see how those first three yamas all tie in each other. Non-harming, truthfulness, non-stealing. Aldo says he's waiting for his client, stopping by to say hi. I appreciate that, Aldo. Hey, Gus, how are you? I'm actually talking some yoga here. I'm talking about what's called the yamas and the niyamas, which are the ethical points, the foundation for yoga. The yamas are the 5 personal modes of conduct that we have. And the nonviolence, truthfulness, non-stealing, non-excessiveness, non-possessiveness, non-greed. I've been covering ahimsa and satya and asteya, which are the first 3. Brahmacharya, non-excess, generally thought of as celibacy. But as I've been talking about, everything has a deeper aspect to it. So practicing non-excessiveness doesn't mean being celibate. It doesn't exclude that, of course, as that is a means of cultivating a great deal of power and energy. But what it really means is, how do we express the energy that I have? If you are spending that energy gossiping, insulting people, trolling people online, if you are excessively watching pornography, watch all the porn you want. I'm not telling you not to. But if you are excessively watching it, are you really conserving your essential life energy, or are you just literally sputtering it away? Brahmacharya, again, many people think of it as practicing celibacy. It's just guarding your energy, not giving it away frivolously. Or we can look at it in terms of working out. Are you working out efficiently and effectively, or are you just puttering around? um, you know what I mean? If you see somebody running back and forth different exercises that have no purpose, it's just a waste of energy. And then you watch Gus, and you watch Aldo, and you watch Vinny, and you watch Osiris. There's a purpose to what you're doing. Everything. It's not just a wasted motion. You can't waste emotion and do a muscle up, or you won't get it. You won't get up over the bar. You can't waste any motion. Aldo says it's toxic. Gus says important message. Frivolously, you're making me pronounce a word that I have difficulty. I got it out once and I was really happy, and now I got to read the message. We'll see if I can do it again. Frivolously giving away energy. That's what practicing non-excessiveness means. So people hear that expression Brahmacharya, and they immediately think that you're practicing abstinence from sex. Every one of these things has a deeper and deeper and deeper. As I said earlier, the deeper you go, the deeper it gets. There's just no bottom layer to how deep these personal practices go. And that's all it is a practice. The great news about a practice, you don't have to be good because you're just practicing. It's what we do every day. If you practice getting a muscle up, you're not going to be great the first time you try it. But every day you practice and you practice and you practice. Watch Paul Morgan practicing every day. And every time you see him, it's a little bit better. And he might not even see it. But over time, there's those little things that you learn. I saw 3 or 4 days ago, Gus, you were offering him tips, just little meaningful things that you picked up that just have great, great value in them and how to do it. And the only way you get those things Gus says frivolously. All right, it ain't gonna come out the last time. I did my best. I'm practicing. I am practicing saying frivolously. All right, I slowed it down. If Mocha was here, she would definitely be cracking up because she hears me. She was a linguist in the Air Force for 23 years, and she hears me constantly mispronouncing things. My mother was an English teacher, a grammar teacher in elementary school for 50 years. And she was constantly, you're not even trying to say things correctly anymore. As I mentioned at the beginning, especially when I'm saying Sanskrit words, here I'm trying to say an English word and it ain't coming out too well. When I'm saying Sanskrit, I'm going to mispronounce everything. So anyone who watches my yoga videos and say that's not how you say it in Sanskrit, I already know. I've sat with yogis who give me a Sanskrit word, and then I repeat it back to them perfectly, and then in the next 2 minutes, I'm already screwing it up. That's just how it works. However, I do believe that I'm saying Brahmacharya correctly. And again, that's loosely translated as practicing celibacy, but really it's just about guarding your energy, not giving it away, not wasting it. It's valuable. We're talking energy is life force. It's who and what we are. If you give that away to someone, they control you. If you want someone to control you, keep giving your energy away. None of these things are hard and fast rules where you're saying to be a yogi, you have to do this. What they're saying is if you want to live a joyful, happy life, more than that. I'll see you in a bit, Aldo. Aldo says he'll be back in a few. If you want to live a joyful life, but more than that, if you want to be free, and by free it means not being controlled by the thoughts of others, and not even being controlled by your own thoughts. Thoughts are very powerful, but they're not who you are. They're an energy, a vibration that's expressed through you. The good news is you don't have to believe everything you think just because you think it. It's not true. It's a representation of a truth, which means by the time it reaches a thought, it's already twice removed. By the time you speak it, it's 3 times removed. It says in the Course in Miracles that words are nothing but symbols of symbols twice removed. That's so far away. But it's still energy. You can see that if someone trolls you and how you respond. If you react instantly, if you get upset, if you argue, if you try to make your point in an aggressive way, even if you try to make your point, because what's the sense in arguing your point with a troll who has no interest in what your point is? He just wants the energy of your reaction. They're literally feeding off of your energy. So why give it to them? It's a waste. That's what practicing non-excessiveness is. And it goes in every aspect of our life. Complaining. What does complaining get you? There's a difference between if you're in a restaurant and the food isn't the way you asked for it, the way you're going to pay for it, and mentioning that and expecting something being different, expecting your meal to come out better or whatever. That's not a complaint. It's an observation. And when you practice non-excessiveness, you see that subtle difference between asking for what you want, expecting it because you're paying for a service, and how you respond versus just complaining. Complaining is not going to get you anywhere. Stating your opinion, stating what you want, that's going to get you somewhere, as long as you stand by it. Especially, the more you conserve this type of energy, the more you have, the more powerful you are. And things just start going your way. It's like magic. Don't have to believe it just because I said it. Give it a try. Conserve your energy. Energy is best conserved through silence. And by silence, I don't mean not just talking. Practicing a silent mind. Spend a few minutes just simply being. Relaxed. Meditate. Practice yoga. Practice self-inquiry. Especially Brian Katie's method, where simply ask yourself if you're having a thought, if someone says something to you, if you have a belief that you don't think is working for you, ask, is this true? Can I absolutely know for certain that this is true? Without a doubt, without even a trace of a doubt. And then, who would I be if I didn't have this thought? Imagine, let's take politics without getting political. Imagine if you took a political thought, you really believed this with all your heart, that this is the way things should be. And you ask yourself, is this true? And you might say, well, yeah, I believe it's true. But can you absolutely know for certain without even a shade of doubt? Without even a slim little sliver of doubt? I don't know anyone who could. We don't know everything. But then ask yourself, who would I be if I didn't have this thought? And think how much more peaceful that would be. If you didn't have to defend your opinion in every single moment, politically or otherwise. That's practicing Brahmacharya, non-excessiveness. That's how we gather power. And I'm talking about true power. If you ever read a wonderful book, Power versus Force, David Hawkins, and he really explains that difference between force, which we confuse power with. Power is quiet. Power is soft. Power doesn't require force. Force never works for long. It might seem to. You know, we've used force in countless wars, but things don't ever stay exactly the same. Ask the Roman Empire. Power is quiet. The most powerful people you'll ever meet are the ones that you see in a party and they look just so self-composed. They're not bragging, they're not boisterous, but you know, just looking at them, they know exactly what to do in any given situation. They're poised. They are ready, responsive. They're not reactive. If someone were to spill something on them, they wouldn't get upset and be forceful because they have no need. It's that difference when you see the instantaneously coiling of a snake, how it goes from this sort of languid spread out to all of a sudden ready to strike. That's power. That's the difference. You see it in every animal, every species. Gus says, is truth subjective at times, or does truth vary? It's a good question. I don't think truth varies, but our expression of truth is subjective. And I don't think we ever truly know the truth because it's endless. It's endlessness itself. It's infinite. So how can you know something is infinite? The truth of this table that I'm really fond of pounding on to make a point is that it's solid. You can hear it. I think you can hear it. That's the truth. And yet, it is also a collection of cells, and then it's a collection of molecules, and then it's a collection of atoms, and then it's a collection of particles. And within those particles, there's an infinite amount of space between each of those particles, enough for an entire universe to exist in within that space. And that's true as well. And who knows what's beyond that? So how can we say what is true? We can only say what we know of as being true in this particular instant. And there's so much freedom in not having to know the truth in every single thing. Of just saying, I don't know. In Zen, specifically in Korean Zen, they tell you to cultivate the I don't know mind. Because as soon as you think you know the truth, you're not experiencing the truth. In the Tao Te Ching, the very opening sentence is that Tao that can be told is not the true Tao. So anything we speak is already slightly removed from the truth. Might be slightly true, but it's not the truth. That's why the Hebrews would say, ancient Hebrews, you can simply say God is and then stop, because anything you say after that is slightly removed from the experience of God. Gus says, is a portion of truth still true, or does it require every detail? Every detail is the truth in its own way. That's how it would seem, and that would be the yogic philosophy, and even the Buddhist philosophy, or the non-dual philosophy, that everything is a version of truth, but truth itself is not a version. And then Gain Bros, my good friend Gus says, frivolously pounding on the table. And yes, I did. And I think that actually came out okay. Aldo says, I am. Powerful mantra. Probably the most powerful words in the English language. In any language. Tat Tavam Ase is Sanskrit for I am that I am. When Moses went to Mount Sinai, he asked the burning bush, who should I say sent me down? The answer was, I am that I am. Aldo is back, and he says, I am is God within us. Exactly. Nisargadatta Maharishi, entire book, I am that. His entire teaching was summed up in I am. From the absolute, You have I am, and from I am comes the entire universe. That's the truth. You have that truth, and then everything out of that is the version of a truth, but not the absolute truth, because the absolute truth doesn't have a version. Again, the Tao Te Ching, truth that can be told is not the true Tao. Or in the Course of Miracles, words are but symbols twice removed. And again, there's just so much freedom in not having to defend what you think of as being true. Because it's just, they're thoughts of truth. But that doesn't mean that it's the truth. It means it's thoughts of truth. The vibrational aspect of those thoughts, the vibrational aspect of the words, that's the truth. But the meaning behind it is subjective. The meaning behind it is personal. It's what you gave it. So yeah, it's a subtle, really subtle thing. And that's the thing with all of the personal yogic codes of conduct. Is it just gets so much deeper than what we think. I started with ahimsa, which is non-violence, non-harming. And it's not about being passive. It's about being strong and being powerful. So powerful that there's no need whatsoever to cause harm to another person. Because you know the power that you have could cause harm, but you choose not to wield it. It's not even a thought. And that actually ends up giving you more power. All of these things are really about power. And again, it goes back to, if you want to do a muscle up, are you going to spend a lot of time doing push-ups and whatever? Or are you going to practice doing a muscle up? Develop the muscles that are going to get you up over the bar. Gus is taking off. Says he's got to drive. I'll be back to make a stop at my mom's. Yep, I'm going to talk probably for about 5 more minutes. Gus, I appreciate you stopping by and joining in the conversation, actually, very much. All of these things are about cultivating personal power. And the thing with this type of personal power is it's not the kind that you waste. It's not the kind, although I know you and I have talked about the book, Power versus Force. Most people equate power with that forcefulness that isn't true power. It's a waste of energy. Forceful people don't stay forceful forever. They don't stay forceful for very long. They run out of steam. They don't have that deep, deep, deep excess of power. Powerful person doesn't waste anything. Everything is cultivated. Everything just comes naturally. And again, you can see that just watching any animal. If you see a panther in the wild, any kind of big cat, even a small cat, no wasted motion. Even when they stretch, it's just this compact energy that is ready to do anything at any time that it's called for. Powerful people. And that Power versus Force, it's a wonderful book. It really can change the way we consider approaching each other, approaching other people, and ourselves as well. Do you want to be a forceful type of person? Or do you want to be someone who actually cultivates true power? True power is the connection with God. Because all true power comes from God, comes from the universe itself. Milka's here and she says, hi. I wish you were here 5 minutes ago when Gainsborough, Gus, was trying to get me to pronounce over and over again frivolously. I did say it correctly several times, but now my speaking muscles specific to the task of saying frivolously are all but wasted, all but gone. Aldo says that Gandhi, one of the most powerful people in history next to Jesus, frivolous, and frivolously. Um, Gandhi is a personal hero of mine. He was a student of the Bhagavad Gita. He was a student of yoga. Um, he practiced ahimsa, nonviolence. And anyone who says practicing nonviolence is being passive knows nothing about Gandhi, knows nothing about Jesus, knows nothing about Dr. Martin Luther King. Gandhi literally took severe beatings. He was imprisoned. He fasted for months at a time. And he toppled the mightiest empire up to that point in time without a single shot being fired from his end. So impressing Dr. Martin Luther King with his method that he used it in his own battle for civil rights, his own battle that made great strides. It still continues to this day, still striving to get that equality. But he practiced nonviolence. That's the difference. It's not passive. It's having that power. As Aldo said, real power. Lucas says that Gandhi was not a good person in many ways, though. Yeah, he was a product of his culture. He never quite gained the liberation that he sought. He achieved it for his nation, but that personal liberation means that you set aside your cultural habits and beliefs. You have no need for them anymore. They might still be present outwardly. You might still show up for the functions, but you're no longer part of the tribe. You stand outside the tribe as your own person, not even as a person, as your own aspect, force of nature. Gandhi never quite made it there, and I think the reason why is because he was all consumed with gaining freedom for his nation, using these powerful methods to do so, but they inhibited him from focusing solely on reaching his own personal. Had he lived longer, I think maybe he could have. Some of the not good things. So Otto asks, what are the not good things about him? And Mocha says, being a product of your times is not an excuse to be racist or misogynist. I know I'm saying that wrong, though. It's not offered as an excuse. It's just the way things are, that if you don't know an outside way of doing something, all you have is what you know. And even then, even knowing another way, for whatever reason, you are just not there to do things differently, to do things other. None of these are excuses. It's just how things are until they aren't. And again, had Gandhi been able to cultivate that same pursuit of personal liberation, which he was on, practicing yoga, meditating, studying the Bhagavad Gita, had he been able to take it all the way, instead of just being sidetracked, you can't say sidetracked because it was about liberating a nation versus his own personal liberation. He did what he needed to do in that regard. Luke says it doesn't erase what good he did, but it can't be ignored. But that's so true in so many. That's the thing about having heroes, having you got to see them in the full light of doing what they are, for the good and the bad. Again, going back to one of my favorite philosophical quotes, and I'm not going to even bother to say who it was because I don't rightly know, that Nothing human is foreign to me. That's all of it. Every bit of it. So to answer Aldo's question about some of the not so good things about Gandhi was that he didn't treat his wife or his kids very well. Um, he was not as attentive. He could be aggressive. He had his faults, um, for sure. Lucas says, if nothing else, it illustrates that we all have darkness and light. Exactly. That the thing about non-duality is that it's all expressive, which means that one thing expressing itself as darkness, one thing expressing itself as light, one thing expressing itself as darkness and light at the same time, which is why in the symbol of the Tao, when you have the black and you have the white, and yet you have a dot of each within, showing that it's really one thing. It's the Tao. They don't call it the Tao of light. They don't call it the Tao of darkness. They call it the Tao, the way. And the way is everything. So you can't see something beautiful and say, that's the Tao. You can't see the beauty within nature and say, that's the Tao. And then see a wolf consume a deer and say, whoa, wait a minute. That's not the Tao. No, that's the Tao. All of it is. Rebecca, hi, how are you? I'm doing well. Thank you for joining me. Aldo says, I can feel that in my own life and my past compared to the life that you live now. Exactly. It's the same life, but it's expressed differently now because of who you are. The life that you had didn't end and then become something different. You just kept expanding. You kept growing. My friend Robert Saltzman, who wrote, Rebecca says she got engaged yesterday. Congratulations. August 28th. Wow, that's coming up quickly. Good for you. Happy for that wonderful news for you. Yeah, that, your life isn't divided in that segment. This was the good stuff. This was the bad stuff. This is the good stuff again. It's just life happening. Anyway, I was saying about my friend Robert Saltzman, who wrote the 10,000 Things, says awakening never ends. And that's just the beauty of it. Who I am now isn't separate from the person I was before, and yet I'm nowhere near like that other person. Truly seems like someone else, and yet it's still that one life, just expressed differently. We could call it unearned grace, because all grace is bestowed, given. We can ask for it, we can cultivate it. That doesn't mean we're going to get it. Grace comes when grace comes. That's the nature of grace. Baby boy on the way. Congratulations on that, too. Well, big things happening for you, Rebecca. So that's the, again, going back to yoga, the yamas and the niyamas, the personal yogic approach that we have, how we conduct ourselves in life, the reasons why. We can think of it as practicing karma yoga. Karma meaning action. And that karma yoga is simply, remember, yoga means union. That we are practicing the yoga of life, of action. Karma is no less than life. Life is no less than karma. It's not punishment. It's not retribution. It's simply motion. Karma literally means motion. August 30th for the baby. So much coming up. Pretty cool. So that is basically what I came here to talk about today. Always happy when people join me and we get a chance to branch out in other discussions, turning it into a true conversation versus me up here pontificating. I'm waiting for Mocha to go ahead and speak up, making sure that that came out okay. If Gus was here, he would keep saying it, so I'd have to repeat it when I read his comment. But I think that's about it. Mocha says one article says that Gandhi was very racist in his young adulthood, but he radically changed and became anti-racist. Gandhi had an awakening. He was a very thank you, Aldo. Aldo says great conversation as always, Eric. Another hard word there. Yeah, it was a hard word, but I fought through it. To cover right before I call it a day, to cover that last bit that Mocha brought up about Gandhi, he had a personal revelation, a personal awakening. He was a very self-absorbed young man, caring mostly about himself, not even his young wife. Very selfish. One day, when he got his law degree in England, and he was very, again, self-absorbed, just not someone who had a lot of thought towards other people. He got his law degree in England. He studied a little sort of what would be considered New Age type of thought. Didn't really sink in deeply. He went, after he got his law degree, he worked in a law firm in South Africa, where a lot of Indians worked in horrible conditions. And he found himself on the wrong car in a train trying to get home, and he was thrown off because he was the wrong color in a storm, miles from anywhere, soaking wet. And that was the epiphany. Everything changed from that moment. Sometimes, and Mocha and I have discussed this quite a bit, it takes something happening to you yourself or someone you love, someone you know, before you can hit that epiphany, before things change, before that energy, before grace strikes you. And it did for him. Everything changed. Well, that's the thing, Aldo, about karma is, again, karma is just energy. It's life. Karma literally translates from Sanskrit to action. So, again, it's not retribution. It's not even justice. It's just the ongoing. Karma means this happened, and so this will happen, and so this will happen, and so this will happen. It's the ongoing process of life. When people say good karma, it just means that right now you are practicing the powerfulness of the moment and that it carries over. Not even cause and effect, Mocha. Because there's no ultimate cause. That's the hard thing for people to get to, because we love having a cause. We love thinking, well, he did this, so this happened. But why did he do this? And then why did this happen before and before and before and before? It's infinite. It goes back to forever and continues onwards. Course in Miracles, they say the way through karma is by forgiveness. You erase the past by forgiveness. It means you made your peace, everything that happened before and everything that's going to happen from that moment on. And you're right here in the present moment. In the present moment, There's no cause, there's no effect, there's just what is. And then we go on from there. Quoting my friend Robert Saltzman again, and he calls it a once upon. Everything that's happening now doesn't have a single effect. It has infinite effects. So we could liken karma to infinite effects continuously happening. So what happened with Gandhi? That was grace. That was a universe opening up for him and saying, this is how things are, and this is how you can change, and this is who you can be. And it's based on nothing you've done in the past, but all you can achieve in the future. Karma is literally a beautiful thing because we are all expressing it instantly right now, who we are. We are the expression of karma in a never-ending fashion. The karma of a particle, the karma of a subatomic particle is to gather itself in the nuclei of a particle. And then that karma is to go on to form an atom. And then their karma is to go on and form a molecule, and then a cell, and then whatever. I always, again, pound my desk for emphasis because it's solid, and yet it's infinitely empty. That's karma. Emptiness, fullness, nothingness, solidness, the whole shebang. So how can you be, if nothing has a true cause, how could you ever be punished for something? What appears to be negative karma is just because you continuously put yourself in a position where bad things happen. And then you say, my karma sucks. Of course it does. You keep putting yourself in that position for bad things to happen. When you put yourself in a position for better things to happen, we can say, well, that's good karma. It's just being smarter. All right. Cause and effect. Cause and effect. I just like saying it, honestly, because it's just, again, it's just an ongoing thing. Every effect is just another cause happening instantly. And every cause is just a momentary effect. Karma, meaning action, means nothing ever stops. So that is that for the day. Let's see. Aldo says, thank you for clarifying that for me. You're welcome. It's one of the fun things I love talking about, is that true sense of karma, because it's liberating. It means you're never trapped by the past. All you have is right now, and right now is infinite because everything's happening right now. So yeah, again, it's just 100% liberating. And Moga is attempting me to sing. Not going to happen. Not going to happen on camera. Not going to happen off camera. At least not that song. All right, so calling it a day. I will see everyone tomorrow. I got a bit more of my own studying to do. Again, I'm doing my my class for the Hatha Yoga certification, which is the oldest form, the truest form of yoga. The whole gambit of it. Yamas, niyamas, pranayama, asanas, meditation, all the way up to samadhi, which again is that blissful absorption in the fabric of the universe. So if you don't see me here tomorrow, it means I've been completely absorbed by the fabric of the universe. I'm off being blissful somewhere. So, all right, guys, I will see you tomorrow. Aldo, thank you. Mocha, thank you. Rebecca, if you view this later, again, congratulations and good luck. Gus Gainsborough, thank you for showing up. And one more time, just for you. Aldo, have a good Sunday too. And thank you again. Gus, the last thing I'll say, frivolously. And I think I nailed it. All right. Take care, guys.